friends, welcome to the Weekend Show. Today we're going to have a very interesting and very useful project for you. If today is your first time in our channel, welcome. If you have been here before but you have not subscribed, please subscribe. If it is your birthday, happy birthday. What we decided to build today is a nice display for our house numbers because we happen not to have one here. Where is it? And this is a project that we do have to measure for. So we start by measuring this dimension. We're going to put it under this light so the light can actually illuminate the letters. And our opening is about 13, just out of 13 and a half.
That's 14 and a half.
Yeah, you're right. This is 14 and what? Anyway, we're not going to have it touching there, so
Right.
let's say 14. Now, on something like that, you cannot depend that the distance will be uniform everywhere. So take the measurement in a couple of different places. And here it's actually a little larger. But what you want to do is to take the smallest measurement. And 14 will fit in all of this for us, right?
Yes, but I do want to point out that Mrs. Woodworker has already expressed she doesn't want it to touch.
I said it's not going to touch.
Well, I mean, she doesn't want it that wide.
She wants it that way,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
How she wants it?
She does want it vertical. She just already said how wide she wanted it.
Well, how wide she wants it?
She when we measured, she said about 10.
Okay. So we definitely have the clearance.
Mm-hmm.
So in the space that we want to use it for, we have the space we need. So let's go and build it. Well, friends, we're doing a dry fitting of our numbers right now. And we have laid them out in the orientations they're going to be. And we've figured out that we need about 35 inches of length for our address board. That will allow us to have a nice spacing between the letters and also have space on the top and bottom for a frame that will add a little bit of a more finished element to our design. So having decided the dimensions and also having decided the orientation, we are ready to start cutting the wood. Again, the dimensions, these are 5-inch tall letters. If you want to buy them, I'm going to have a link below. This link will be an affiliate link in full disclosure. So if you want to support the channel and you want floating letters to build something similar, then if you use that link, it doesn't cost you anything extra, but it does give us a little bit more support for the channel. So we'll appreciate it if you use that affiliate link. Having said that, we have decided that the width is going to be 10 inches and probably the frame around it probably will be around, what do you say, maybe an inch or two, not more than that, for sure. And stick around and we're going to start cutting some wood. Alright friends, we're going to cut the pieces of wood we need for our project, and as always, please don't forget to use eye protection whenever you work with power equipment. As Norm Abrams used to say, there is nothing more important in the shop than this eye protection device. So we found a board in our scrap that we think is going to work for what we need to do. And we are going to give it a try, right? So my question now is, can you see it? We are okay here, but are we cutting okay?
I think so.
Alright. And the vacuum is on? Okay, the saw is not plugged in. What is something we need, huh?
Power is good.
down because I cannot see. Is that the correct place or I need to go more?
No, I think that's probably good. That gives you a little bit of clean against it.
And I know it would be hard for you to believe that, but we can throw these away actually.
Excellent.
Even though this is neat.
It is pretty cool. Look, you can see the... Hold on. Hold that a second while I refocus. There you can see some pretty cool wood grain.
I need to make something like this actually to finish the top in the laundry room.
Yeah.
A cut. All right. This seems to be a pretty decent cut. So now I don't know. Yeah, we have to clean this. I'll give you that.
Okay, now the nails on this side, so flip it to here. You want to cut that side, I think that's the clean side anyway.
That might be enough of a problem to spoil our plans though, that nail.
There's 3 of them.
Well, this one is the problematic one.
I understand.
Because yeah. Alright folks, we have to clean some nails here and hopefully successfully, otherwise we won't be able to use this board and we'll get back to you. Alright friends, we set our saw now to make the other cut that we need, so we continue the build process, and as always we did use a hot glue stop here in our jig. And this is going to be how each of our boards look. Ready? And this is just a repetitive process until we get all the boards we need. We really need more power in this one. More power, right? Always more power. Now, do you think that will be the right dimension?
Probably not.
Alright folks, we've done how many?
4, 9.
We've done 9, we have 5 more to do.
We have 2 more boards to cut here, and we need
How many total? We need 14.
14.
Alright, so we need 5 more.
Okay.
Okay friends, an added bonus on the way we did our temporary stop, if you look here, is that also allows us to check for a 90-degree cut. Because we took the stop all the way to the fence here, and that gives us a nice 90-degree angle. Alright friends, another dry fit. The boards are not connected yet, but we're going to glue all of them, and we put the letters on, the numbers, not the letters, so you get an idea, and then we are going to trim these with a board like that, and we're going to use 2 different colors. We're going to stay in the middle and paint the trim, right?
The frame.
So you start getting a general idea of how this will go, and we're going to be with you in just a few moments.
Just to show you, each of the boards is about 10 inches wide, 2.5 inches thick, and we made all the wood grain go horizontal, even though the house number board itself is going to be vertical.
Alright, so friends, we have set a mini jig kind of situation here. We have a straight edge to make sure that all our boards are aligned correctly, and we are going to glue them, and we have one clamp that can do this job. I probably need to buy a second, but for those small pieces we think this clamp will be appropriate, and we're going to let it dry, and then we're going to continue when we're done. So now we're going to glue. Yes.
Well, I just wanted to talk about what we did with the clamp, because this clamp is a 50-inch clamp. What we did was set it up, and you want to show them how we measured against the length of the boards, because you want to apply enough pressure to hold the boards together, but not so much that you're going to pop them out, which can happen if you put too much in there. So we set the measurement so
Now
that
it's clamped.
so that it's a really good fit against there, but not so much that it's going to pop the boards up.
And we might use some weight actually.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway, so then we've got it set all ready to go when we have the boards put together. So now we're going to glue.
What do you mean both sides? No, it doesn't need to glue on both sides.
Using the very
Very sophisticated method here.
yeah, it's very sophisticated.
High-tech equipment. This will need, that piece then will need glue in both.
Yeah.
So what we are doing is we are alternating how we apply glue in the boards. You need something for your fingers.
Not yet.
Okay, that's a repetitive process, of course.
Yep, so we'll get them all glued up and then clamped.
So what are you doing now?
So now we have the boards all glued and clamped. Got them pulled together. I'm just cleaning up some of the glue that has seeped out on the seams here.
And after it's dried, we will
Go back and sand.
show you the excitement of sanding it. And you get to use your favorite handheld sander,
Yeah,
because we cannot use
the
the
palm sander.
Yeah.
So there we go. Now we just have to wait for it to dry.
All right.
Okay. Okay, so the glue has dried. We have the numbers laid out with our spacing. We're going to use this spacing for the top and the bottom, allowing for our edge piece framing. And we will be laying a line down the middle at 5 inches so that we know how to center these, where to center these numbers as we put them on. They do have these pieces that come in. Can you hold that a second? I need to focus. So there's a screw part at the top that goes into the back of the number, and then at the bottom there's a spike that allows you to put it into the board, and that's what we're going to do. We'll use that to mark our spacing with the numbers and then be able to put them in. And probably we'll need to use a block on top of the numbers as we're pounding them in, right? So that we don't damage them as we're putting them into the wood. So what we need to do next is sand our back piece. Yeah.
Let's go the other way. Doesn't want to thread.
Is that threading now?
Yeah, but
Okay.
we'll probably have to use a little bit of
Okay. So that's about how they go in. They thread in.
because we forgot to say that there's going to be floating.
Yeah, they are floating, so they will have a space, and that's what that little spike is for. It's the spacer. So our next step is to sand the back part that we glued together. We also need to cut the framing pieces and sand those down, and then the back will be stained and the framing pieces will be painted black, and then we'll work on getting the numbers on.
And our light.
Yeah, our light seems to know every time we're trying to film and it keeps turning off, so that's awesome.
Okay. The gluing has gone very well, but definitely we do need to do a little bit of sanding. The intent was never for the lines to completely go away. We did want to have this look of boards, but we want it to be flat and smooth to a large degree because it will be outside and we don't want water collecting in between the boards that will cause them to actually rot quicker. We'll also cover it with a UV clear coat that will also help it weather better, because the stain will not provide a lot of protection against weather, so we need to do something more. But the project so far is coming along rather well, and we're going to move on with the sanding. Go. Okay, so we've got the board sanded down.
And now we're going to mark the middle. And again, we made our width at 10 inches, so we're going to mark at 5.
And why are we doing that?
Because we want our numbers to be on center down the board. And then we're going to use our level to draw a straight line.
Okay.
And I made the line pretty faint because we've already sanded and don't want to have this stand out too much.
Let's grab the one and show them how that looks.
Okay. And so again, the this we're gonna need to straighten up. It's not very straight, but the little bolts screw into the back of the numbers. Then they have a point. Once we get them on spacing, we'll be able to use a block on top to pound them down into the board. And we're also going to use a spacer to make sure we don't go too far and we try to get the numbers spaced as a floating portion at approximately the same height.
Okay. So we decided to create a nice picture-like frame detail, and if you do not feel you can do the 45s here, the miter corners, you can go straight and just do butt joints, which are much easier, but we decided to do the corners. And the idea now is we're going to first make all the markings and the holes we need, then we stain it, then we're going to protect the edges because we want to paint this black, and the last part we're going to do is put the letters on.
Mm-hmm. Well,
okay.
And then the very last part is put it on the house.
Well, yeah, we have to do that too.
Okay.
Minor detail.
So now we need to mark the placing of the numbers.
Yeah. So here is the finished construction, but now we have to apply the final finishes. And again, what we plan to do is to stain the inside of the board and paint the outside frame black. So the best way we figure we're going to do that is to stain first and then mask after the stain dries and paint, right?
Yep.
But I think we should make the holes first. What do you think?
Yes.
Okay. Because we will lose the line.
Yeah, so we'll do that first.
Okay.
Okay, so to determine the spacing, we just kind of grabbed some scraps of wood around the shop and took a look at what looks best. And this is our jig from a recent project where we were using that to drill the holes. But we're using this spacer here. And we put that at the top and then at the bottom. And then what I actually did was space it from the black part here with this, which is about 3/4 of the width of the other spacer. But what we have to be concerned with is the fact that the numbers come out here, but then our little brads that attach them are different, and so that will actually be approximately that same width there. So that's what we're going to use for our spacer to line them up. And again, right now we have them just kind of sitting on that center line that we drew.
It's a dry fit.
So that's our dry fit for our spacing for
And we're going to use the same width as our surrounding to decide how deep we're going to put the letters, right?
Right.
So the letters in essence will be just above this level, and it will give a very nice three-dimensional look to the piece.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So now we'll get on with the staining. Okay, so before I start staining, we actually turned the numbers over and used the points to do the rough markings of them, using the spacer as our guide. So there are points for each one of the numbers here, and that's what we'll use to place them once the staining and the painting is done.
Go. So we're starting the staining process. We have decided what stain we want.
This is a canyon brown color.
I wonder if you want to stain this as well, and then do black that and the side. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would go with that, and if she wants us, we can change it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to paint over, so we can. Here's the first coat of the stain. I don't know if Mrs. Woodworker will want a second coat. To me, this looks really nice, but she may decide she wants it a little darker. So we're going to give it a little bit of time to dry, and then move forward.
And we decided to stain the inside of the border
Inside
too,
edge of the frame.
and then just make black the outside and the top. What?
There.
Right? Which we think will look better. But cool.
There we go.
Because this is going to be outside, we decided to fill this imperfection, this hole, so it will not collect water and accelerate the rotting of the wood. And for outside projects, it's important to keep under consideration where water might pool and make sure that you fix that. Our wood filler happened to be a little old,
Dried out.
because I'm accused that I don't throw things away. So if that is the case, even though I had it in a Ziploc bag, add some water to it and it's going to come back to life. It is a water-based product and it will dry fairly fast. It will sand if we need it to sand, and we will not really have any problem. What?
Here's what we have, and again, we're not sponsored by this. It's just what we happen to have. It was dried out, and again, you can see on the edge here that it's pretty dry and hard. So I just added a little bit of warm water and just working it through until it becomes smooth and pasty again.
It doesn't look very good though. I hope no one is eating while watching the video.
Yeah, it's not a very nice color, but just want it to be smooth and pasty so it'll go into that knot hole that we have there and be able to fill it in.
For those of you that were observers, you probably noticed that the cover says interior. However, this product will be both painted, and I'm going to cover it with a UV sealant, so it makes no difference. I mean, it will be fine.
A clear coat.
A clear coat.
Mm-hmm. So this looks like it's at a pretty good consistency to me. Pretty smooth, almost peanut buttery. So that's what I'm going to use.
Hold on, I want to bring something to make sure it doesn't blow out on the side.
Okay, so here you can see that we have filled the hole. We used the putty knife and the really technical tool that is my finger to push the putty down into the hole, and then the woodworker held another block of wood up against it so that it wouldn't blow out the side. And
that worked pretty well.
that worked pretty well. So it's full. I also scraped some across the top just to fill in that kind of fault line there. And we're going to give it some time to dry, sand it down a little bit so that it looks good. And then we will proceed with painting the frame. Okay, so our wood filler is now dry enough to be able to go out and sand it. While I was at it, I went ahead and filled in all the little holes created by our brad nailer. So now I'm going to go out and sand that down so we can make it flush, and then we'll be ready to paint.
What are you doing there?
Stirring up the black, which has obviously been sitting a while. So I'm going to take a little bit of stirring.
Or paint thinner?
Well, sometimes you just have to take a little bit to stir it up if it's been sitting a while. We don't have those machines that they use to mix them at the stores, so I just have to take a little bit.
We don't?
No, we don't. And we also don't want to stir it so hard that it gets a lot of bubbles and things in there, because then it doesn't paint right.
So we start painting the black section,
The frame.
which we hope will provide a very nice contrast between our nice stained area and the frame of the project. Again, we're not going to show you this whole process because it is just painting, but you know, we're going to show it to you when we're done. We decided to also do the inside of the frame black,
This edge.
and in something like that you need to very carefully tape so you will not have the color bleed on the base of the board, because that will actually make it look
No.
So with the masking finished, we've started the process of painting. Again, even with the tape, here is an area that you need to be careful, because if you put too much of the paint, it can bleed through the paper, the masking paper on the underboard, and that's something you want to avoid. But the whole board has come out very nicely. We like the character that this has. And we're going to let it dry for a little bit and then start the placement of the letters.
Numbers.
Numbers. Alphanumeric characters.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you remove the masking tape before it is completely dry. Otherwise you risk making little chips on the paint surface, right?
Yeah, I think so. And depending on how heavily you've painted, you might even need to take a sharp edge and score just to keep it from ripping. I didn't put on the paint too heavily though. So we now have the first coat of clear coat polyurethane on here. It's going to help protect it as it's out in the weather, exposed to the elements. Because we're working inside and we do want to accelerate our process on our time frame to get this done, I'm going to use a hairdryer across it. That's what we've already done for the paint on the frame. I'm going to do the same thing on this poly, and probably we'll try to put a second coat on here, again just because it's going to be outside and exposed to the elements to help protect it.
You're not using your dryer.
I'm going to use the lower setting on this, just to keep it from getting too hot. Okay, so we have the coat of polyurethane almost dry here. This is what it's looking like. The grain of the wood is really nice with that kind of golden honey color contrasting with the black paint on the frame of it. Again, the polyurethane is just about dry. Not quite, we have a few more minutes, but we're almost there, and then we'll be ready to put the numbers on our sign. So we did mark the depth that we want to drill with a piece of tape. And we're drilling the second hole. Pardon me, the holes for the second number.
And remember, we did all these holes before.
We marked our space.
All right. And we will position our letters Numbers? Okay, letters, numbers, makes no difference. And we want to avoid damaging the numbers. So we're using a piece of cloth because I haven't been able to find my soft mallet, and today the day has been, let's say, interesting around here. The weather has gone nuts. Needs to go more, right?
Yes, quite a bit.
More.
This one.
You don't think the bottom needs to go more?
I think you need to even it out first. Because this is actually down quite a bit. Okay.
No, still. How much more down does it need to go?
Quite a bit, apparently.
You do want the letters to be just a touch now, right?
Mm-hmm.
You do want all your letters to be at the same level or depth, depending on how you want to define it. We're almost there. Okay, I think we're there.
Good. So we've got the first two installed. We'll come back when we have them all.
And here we are, the final project. You can, if you want, pan up and down and so it, you know.
Well, they can see the whole thing.
Because of what you see on the ground right now, the temperatures have dropped and we were not going to be able to hang it on the house. And we're going to go outside and close the episode. We just wanted to show you what it looks like on the house. Well, friends, we reached the end of the episode for today. We hope you enjoyed this. We think it came out very nice. And searching on the internet, we see that house numbers like this go for $200, right?
Yeah.
So the material, as we said when we started, the wood is probably $5 or less. In our case, it was nothing because we use scrap to make it. But if you were to buy it, it would probably be around $5. And how much were the letters?
I think it was about $18 for all of them online.
So you're talking about a project that is $25 or less that you can build yourself or you can buy for a couple of $100. So definitely worth building. Now this project took longer than we thought. And here is our puppy. This project took longer than we thought because Happy April's Fool Day, Mother Nature really did a trick on us today. And we're going to put a little clip to show what was coming down of the sky. And it turned very, very cold. And it was a 2-day project because of the finish. We had to wait for the glue up to finish. So even though you don't have to spend a lot of hours to make it, you do have to spend a lot of hours waiting for finishes to dry and the glue up to happen. So we worked on it yesterday and today. And I was hoping to hang it on the house and show you that process, but because of the weather we did not do that. In any case, I hope you did enjoy this episode. If you did, please smash that like button. Please share, like, subscribe if you have not done so, and let us know what projects you want to see in our channel. There are going to be a couple of links down below. And they will be primarily for these letters in case you want to buy them. And I don't think we have any other affiliate links, do we? For this project?
Not for this one.
We certainly hope you enjoyed it. We enjoyed it. We like the way the project came out. We are very happy with it. And we are going to see you on Wednesday, hopefully with an update on the Jaguar, or if not that, with tips and tricks. We're going to see you next Sunday with another build. From the Garage Woodworker,
No, Biva.
have a great week.